What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. And in today's video, we are going to be going over the 5 quarterbacks in college football that I think are primed for a breakout season. Now, a couple of rules that I set for myself before going into this: I'm not including true freshmen, and they must have started at least one game in the 2024 season. Bo Prabula was the guy that I really wanted to put on here, but he just didn't start a game last year for Penn State. I do believe he will be a player to mention. So I've got 5 names all over the country. All of them are going to be Power 4 starters this year, and I'm excited to get into it. Before we do, though, consider hitting that like button, subscribe if you are new, and comment down below which players you guys think are primed for a breakout season in college football. Could be from any position. Would love to hear what you guys think down in the comment section below. Ring that notification bell as we have much more college football, NFL and NFL draft content coming for you over the course of the next few weeks. But let's go ahead and kick this list off with my number 5. At number 5 on my list, I am going with Auburn quarterback Jackson Arnold. Arnold was a player that many people were putting down as a breakout candidate last season as he took the starting job at Oklahoma after Dylan Gabriel left for Oregon. And things started off really good for Jackson Arnold. He had 7 touchdowns and 2 picks in the first 3 games of the season. But in week 4 against Tennessee, everything went downhill. He was benched in the second half of that game, and he didn't return for the Sooners until week 8. There were a lot of up and down moments throughout the season for Jackson Arnold, but he still finished the year with 1,400 passing yards, 12 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions. This is very much a projection based on the 5-star rating that he got coming out of high school. There were some good moments in there for Jackson Arnold. He completed 62.6% of his passes last year for Auburn, but I think the area that I'm most excited to see him was what he can do as a runner. He was phenomenal when getting outside of the pocket and extending plays with his legs. He had 653 rushing yards last season for the Sooners with 3 touchdowns on the ground. He is a dynamic threat with the ball in his hands. He's got really good speed. Really, the reason I think he is in for a breakout season is I just expect big things with this Auburn offense. He's got a much better offensive line, which is an area that I really think he struggled at last season. When he was under pressure last season, he completed under 50% of his passes, had 2 interceptions and 4 touchdowns. He was pretty poor against the blitz. There were just a lot of up and down areas in his game under pressure, and Oklahoma kind of had an exodus on the offensive line. This year, he's going to an Auburn team that should be better in the trenches, but he has 2 of the best wide receivers in the country at his disposal in Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman. I think he's got the traits. He's got a big arm. He has the ability to make plays with his legs. And with the weapons at his disposal, I think you could have a really big year. Auburn is a sleeper for the college football playoff, and to the extent of the breakout, I'm not sure, but I find it very hard to believe he will have a worse season than he had last year, especially with all of the talent that he has to work with. So Jackson Arnold comes in at number 5 on my list. At number 4 on my list, if you guys have been watching some of my other college football videos early on this season, you would know I'm very high on the Duke Blue Devils, and a big reason for that is Tulane transfer Darien Mensah. Mensah was phenomenal for the Tulane Green Wave in the 2024 season, finishing with 22 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. With almost 2,800 yards, he had 17 big-time throws, and there's a lot to really love about this player. Many of you are probably wondering, well, he's already broken out. I think it's time for him to break out on a national level and for people to really know the name Darien Mensah. There's so many things that he can do on the football field that I'm just a really, really big fan of. For one, I just think he has the arm talent. He's a little bit different than some of the other quarterbacks that we are going to talk about in this video because he's not much of an athlete. There will be some plays where he will extend it with his legs, but he is your standard pocket passer, but I think he does it at a very high level. He has a lightning quick release. It comes out of his hands really quickly. I thought he showed really good overall decision making, and it showed with just 6 interceptions on the year. I love the different arm angles that he was able to throw the ball at. I thought he threw with great touch, great anticipation, and I still think he has a lot of traits to really tap into. Tulane was an interesting offense and they ran the ball a lot, but this year at Duke, I think they're really going to air it out, and I think we're going to see a different side of Darien Mensah. He had good arm talent and he showed it at times, but I do think he is going to need to improve the deep ball. He had 4 touchdowns on throws for over 20 yards, but he completed just 36% of those passes. I do think those can get better. He had 14 big time throws in the deep part of the field. I think his arm talent still has a little bit of a ways to go. I'd also like to see him break out as a runner because when he does get outside, he has the ability to make plays with his legs. He's a good overall athlete. He's 6'3, 205. I think he's in for a big year. I think Duke is a sleeper in the ACC. I think they are the easiest hit on the win total. And if he can kind of even replicate the season he had last year, I think a lot more people will be talking about him. There are question marks as he's moving up the ranks in terms of competition level, but I'm a big believer in Mensah, and I have him coming in at number 4 on this list. The next guy on my list is going to be Washington quarterback Damond Williams. Williams was in a really interesting spot as he was kind of in a rotation last year with quarterback Will Rogers, but he did start the final 2 games of the year for the Washington Huskies, playing against both Oregon and Louisville and putting up really good games in those matchups. He is an electric quarterback with the ball in his hands. There's really no other way to spin it. He has a awesome arm. For a smaller quarterback, I really thought that he showcased the ability to throw the deep ball. I thought he had a pretty deep ball, was good off of play action, but on passes for 20 or more yards, he completed nearly 70% of those throws and had 4 touchdowns. I think this is a quarterback that is awesome. I think he has all the traits that you are looking for. He completed nearly 80% of his passes last year, had a 78.1% completion rate, 8 touchdowns to just 1 interception on the year. And I think he's just going to be a big focal point of this Washington offense. A big talking point here and why I have him as a breakout is I love the weapons that he has at his disposal. You have Jonah Coleman in your backfield, and you have Denzel Boston, who is a borderline first-round talent at the wide receiver position. Yes, he does have his limitations. He's 5'11", 190 pounds, but he is a quarterback with a lightning quick release, and I think he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the country. When he got outside and took off with his legs, he had 370 rushing yards on the season on just 63 carries. That's 6 yards per attempt. Look, I don't know if he's ever going to be this elite NFL prospect. I don't know if that's in his future. But as a starting quarterback at the college level with the ability to make plays with his legs, the big arm that he plays with, and I thought he showed excellent processing for a young quarterback. I thought he read the field exceptionally well. He went through his progressions. He showcased some really nice touch. I think he could be a big part of the success at Washington, who were still a good team last year despite not getting the national praise that they got the year prior. I think Williams is in a perfect situation to succeed. We've seen Jed Fish have success with smaller quarterbacks before in his offense, as Noah Fafita had his breakout year in that offense. I think we're going to see it again, and I think Damond Williams is going to have an awesome season. I think he's going to throw for over 3,000 yards. I think he's going to rush for over 500. I think he's going to be really fantastic for this Washington offense. At number 2 on my list, it's another one that I think a lot of people are going to be surprised because many are going to say that he broke out last year, and that's Baylor quarterback Sawyer Robertson. For those of you that have been following my channel, Sawyer Robertson is my preseason QB1 for the 2026 NFL Draft. And the reason I have him as a breakout candidate is not only do I think he can be the number 1 quarterback taken in next year's draft class, but I also believe he is going to be in the Heisman conversation. What he did in the second half of last season, when Baylor started to go on their run, was nothing short of remarkable. He had one bad game in there against Houston where he threw 3 interceptions, but this is a guy that finished the year with 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, had 15 big-time throws. He had 8.4 yards per attempt and a 68.8% adjusted completion. I think he is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country that nobody is talking about. He was fantastic down the stretch for Baylor, as we mentioned in the stats, but the size at 6'4", 220, the ability to read the field. We mentioned Damond Williams having excellent processing. I see that with Sawyer Robertson. I think he reads the field at a very high level. I think he's a very smart quarterback. I think he's got incredible arm talent. He can hit the deep ball. Yes, the deep ball accuracy you'd like to see get a little bit better, but he still completed 45% of those passes over 20 yards and had 12 touchdowns on those plays. He has elite ball placement, whether it's back shoulder fades, whether it's the deep ball. He knows how to put the ball on a string and get it to his receivers. He loves to push the ball down the middle of the field. Yeah, I'd like to see him do better against pressure. This is a guy that when he was blitzed and when there was pressure up the middle, he was not very good. When under pressure, he completed 40% of his passes, had a 48.9 overall passing grade, and had 4 touchdowns to 3 interceptions. This is a guy that is going to need to be kept clean, but if he can showcase the ability that he showed at times, I think he could be a franchise quarterback at the next level, and I am betting on that to happen. This is a guy that wasn't getting starting reps last year going into the year. Baylor was expected to start Daquan Finn. Robertson had to work his way up the depth chart, and I think with a full offseason under his belt, building chemistry with new receivers like Kobe Prentice, you got Josh Cameron returning. I think he's in for a big-time season, and I think Baylor is a big-time sleeper to make the college football playoffs. But my number one breakout candidate for the 2025 season shouldn't really come as much of a surprise as it's Florida quarterback DJ Lagway. Lagway is one of the most exciting young quarterbacks in the entire country, and I think a lot of people are starting to overrate him slightly. This is a guy that, on paper, the numbers are not great for him as a true freshman. 12 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 7 turnover-worthy plays, completed just 58% of his passes, but the tools are elite for DJ Lagway. This is a 6'3", 241-pound quarterback that was in a really weird situation with Florida where he kind of rotated in and out for the first half of the season with Graham Mertz, but he ended up starting the last 6 games of the year for Florida, and he really started to catch fire as the year went on with really good games against LSU, played well against Ole Miss, and he played pretty well in the bowl game against Tulane. There's a lot to love about him. I think he's got one of the best arms in the entire country. He has an elite deep ball, completed 52% of his passes for 20 or more yards with 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on those. I also think his play extension ability and his ability to evade pressure is some of the best I've seen in a freshman quarterback in my entire life. He senses pressure so well. He knows where his checkdowns are. I think he's a really smart quarterback. There are areas that you definitely saw last year that needed to improve. I thought the accuracy was incredibly up and down for him. I thought that he held on to the ball for way too long. His footwork needed some improvement, but this is a guy that was a true freshman. He is stepping into the role where he'll have Eugene Wilson back for a full season. They add J. Michael Sturdivant through the transfer portal. I think he has all the weapons at his disposal that a young quarterback could need. He's behind one of the best offensive lines in the entire country. I think he is going to be a Heisman finalist, and Florida is going to be competing for a national. Let me just say, I think they'll be competing for a college football playoff spot. I think this guy is the real deal. I love the traits. I love what I saw from the confidence and the arm. I think he has it at this level, and I think he is going to be the biggest breakout star for the 2025 college football season. Let me know down in the comment section, who do you guys have as your breakout candidate? And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.